Good evening. Today is Thursday, August 20th, 2026. This is a regular meeting of the Newburgh Enlarged City School District. We will begin tonight with a roll call. I'll be calling the roll. Christine Bello.
Here.
Mackenzie Boucher. We'll note Mackenzie Boucher is absent and excused. Ray Bergarelli.
Present.
Sade Burks.
Here.
John DeRay present. Phil Howard.
Here.
Mark Levenstein.
Here.
Letitia Politi.
Here.
Thank you. We have item 1.2, resolution to approve clerk pro tem appointment. Got a motion and a second on Margot May being clerk pro tem.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I'll call it. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ray Bergarelli,
Yes.
Sade Burks,
Yes.
John DeRay, yes. Phil Howard,
Yes.
Mark Levenstein.
Yes.
Letitia Politi.
Yes.
Thank you. We're going to move around a little bit, and the next item up is going to be the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Ray Bergarelli.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would everyone please raise stand for moments? Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move to the next item, a couple of announcements. Trustee Thomasina Bello submitted her resignation effective August 18, 2026. So the record should note that. A second announcement, much more pleasant. Mackenzie Boucher, a trustee, since the last meeting, has given birth to a baby boy. So congratulations to Mackenzie. She will be home without sleep, changing diapers, and feeding something that has an insatiable appetite for the next few weeks, so she won't be with us, but we look forward to her return in early October. Next item up is item 5.2, which is a CTE progress update.
She's going to give the intro.
Good evening, members of Board of Education, Superintendent Manning Campbell, colleagues, and community. Tonight, we're pleased to present the latest updates on the opening of our brand-new CTE building. We are reaching the final stretch of this transformative project, and we want to ensure that the board has full transparency on our progress and upcoming milestones. Joining us this evening, we have Mr. Morel Wika, Capital Project Manager, and Mr. Thomas Ritzenthaler from CS Arch, to whom I owe many thanks, the support and guidance throughout this project. Also, we have our proud principal, Mr. Matteo Dado, who has poured his heart, soul, energy in ensuring that this building will open doors this coming September. Please, next slide. So here we go. So before I pass the mic along, I want to share that most staffing requirements are addressed. Mr. DeRay, may I please make a public service announcement? Thank you, sir. We are in need of an HVAC teacher. So folks, if we know of an HVAC certified person, please contact the Human Resources Department and we will try and get you certified as soon as possible. Again, all HVAC certified personnel, please contact our district at 845-563-8400. Thank you so much, Mr. DeRay.
Thank you, Dr. Soto.
So, let's continue. So program schedules, instructional plans, and student transportation services, food services will be fully operational and ready for student participation. I'm going to pass the mic along to the gentleman, the aforementioned gentleman, so they can talk to you about our punch list. And again, ladies and gentlemen, They are worth their weight in gold. The superintendent made a wise choice in hiring these three men. And I would also publicly like to thank Miss Roaring, who is keeping us on track financially. Thank you, Miss Roaring. Now off to this gentleman. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mario Luica. Thank you for having me. This is the first time to actually speak in front of the board. So CT used to be a name on paper for some time, and now it's reality. Go back and look at the construction readiness. The building has come along quite a long way. Tomorrow we have a fire inspection before we finalize all the paperwork and submit for the certificate of occupancy and have the building fully operational. The equipment installation has been moving quite along. The teams are working tirelessly, double shifts to have the building ready for September 3rd opening day. And safety compliance has been already accomplished, has been already certified, and the building, it is code compliant as far as we have the fire inspection finalized tomorrow. So final mile, final stretch, we're almost there. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything? Mr. Ritzenholler?
Since I always love to present to the board, hopefully everybody's excited, right? So, you know, oftentimes we're looking for great things to think about, and I will tell you, I will be the first person at the front door to see all these students, these young men and women enter this building. I can't wait to see the look on their faces and see what opportunity's been put before them. It's really incredible. You know, we have the ribbon cutting coming up. It's really going to be a tremendous event. I was trying to think back, when is the last time the district opened a building? It's probably been 50 years or so. So really an incredible milestone in the history of the district, and certainly hope people are going to be able to come out and get a tour of the building so they can see things firsthand and really see again, the opportunity in front of these students. We're really thrilled to be a part of it. So many people to thank that were part of this. It does take a village to do a project like this. A lot of people working hard. They're working at the building right now, making sure that everything is ready for both meeting our objectives for the BOCES inspection tomorrow, for the fire inspection, but also that everything is in ship shape and ready for when the students arrive. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you. Next
Thank you.
slide, please. Thank you. So we invite the Board of Education and our community to mark their calendars for Monday, August 31st for our official CTE ribbon cutting ceremony, as Mr. Ritzenholler mentioned. This is a proud moment for us to celebrate the hard work of our district and community. Next slide, please. So unfortunately, Mr. Dotto has lost his voice. You want?
Yeah, I'm so sorry I lost my voice, like the missing HVAC teacher, so. Well, I apologize for that, but I do want to say a quick thing. You know, exciting time. I'm sorry that I can't speak tonight. It's really tough right now, but Dr. Soto is going to fill in with some of the activities and some of the things we'll be doing to open.
Thank
So
you,
sorry,
Dotto.
Mr. Dotto. So, yes, so first day of school, right? Everything that we've been building upon is working towards September 3rd, 2026. That's when we'll open our doors to our beautiful children, where they'll begin their hands-on learning experience. Also taking place on that day is student orientation. Mr. Dotto has sent out communication to our families and students informing them of this special day. Thank you, and we are happy to answer any questions the board may have at this time.
Board members? Go ahead, Mr. Levinstein.
I just had one question. We've always had a director of career and tech ed. Do we have that position filled now, or
To answer that?
is it going to be or not?
Yes, it will be posted and it will be filled. We are reallocating that position. We're looking to rename it. We are thinking something to do with the workforce. So we're researching what we should call the position, CTE and workforce development.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful.
I will say at home, in my office, the first thing I pass when I go in is a little jar of dirt that got passed out in October of 2024. And to see going from dirt to, I remember, the last beam to what has been done today is a credit to the entire team. It's really, it's more remarkable than 4 people standing in the room, and Mr. Dotto had more hair when he started, I know. So he's lost hair and voice, and many, many nights of sleep, I'm sure, along with everybody standing in front of me. So on behalf of the board, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keeping with the theme of being out of order, 5.1, Dr. Sklars.
Good evening, Mr. President, Dr. Manning Campbell, members of our Executive Cabinet, and members of our Board of Education. Hello, Goldbacks, from me and from our Goldback. So this is something kind of an imagination then come to life. As many of you know, our original design for the Goldback was created by a student. We eventually updated it to have a cleaner design for print and embroidery, and now our Goldback has come to life. Next slide, please. So this is just a little bit of the process. There's actually, very fitting with this evening, there is a hard hat under there with a mold around it. And so we've been getting updated pictures throughout. We gave them the original Goldback design to create this off and have been getting updated progress pictures throughout the year. Next slide, please. So this is tailor-made to us. There is no other Goldback mascot anywhere. Certainly no other Goldback costume mascot either. And this is something that promotes school pride. Not only will we be seeing this at our high school football games, but we'll also be seeing this. We will be, I'm sure, seeing this welcome our students back to school, perhaps at the ribbon cutting, reading to our students, to really help them gain some excitement and some school pride. We know that when students are proud of where they go to school, they do better and they achieve more. This is also not just kind of like a funny little mascot. It's actually an opportunity for our students to learn a varsity letter. So we are hosting tryouts to become the mascot. Anybody who's interested can contact Coach Burns. And we know that this is also a scholarship opportunity for students in college. I don't know if your pages were flooded by, probably because I've been looking up so many things about mascots, but we've been seeing college mascots unveil themselves at graduation, walking across their college kind of stage to receive their diplomas with their feet on or their hands out. And it's a big unveiling because they're usually a secret through the duration. And so, and that can be a scholarship opportunity for our students as well. Next slide, please. This was a pretty big endeavor, and we had a lot of people to thank. Mr. Dre was really an impetus to get this started. Dr. Manning Campbell and Ms. Peterson really helped out and made sure that we had everything that we needed. Our athletic director, Coach Burns, and Kristen Rummel made sure that the process was smooth and that we figured out how to make it work into our coaching season. Amanda O'Neill, who is the head of our student activities, was very influential, and I'm positive that she's going to figure out how to make sure that she's fitting that into her school pride initiatives as well. And I and Ed Schindler oversaw the process and made sure that it was on brand. Last but not least, next slide, please. We've introduced the new mascot to our Career and Technical Education building. So you will see him, you can play that video. You will see him introducing our new building to our community. So thank you very much, and go Goldbacks.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. Very good.
just have to do a special thank you for Dr. Scholars, because throughout this process, I never knew how intricate making a mascot would be. I was like, we still don't have it yet? When is it coming in? Like, it's a whole process. So for those that think it's a 1, 2, 3 thing, it is not. And I learned that the hard way last year.
Your face will be ever etched on my mind. Go ahead, Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I just want to say I'm very happy, very proud of that this moment. But let me ask you a question. So I don't know if that was a student or a teacher or somebody that works in the district, and I don't really want to know. But is there opportunities going to be for more than one? Because there's so many things that we can have mascots at throughout the school year, and also something to think about going forward, and maybe in the middle school levels, we can have junior mascots, something that could build that pride up in our district and get kids excited about being, mascot, because that's an important person at all our public events.
Well, I think that a part of Dr. Sklar's presentation was to really talk about how to make it a letter opportunity. The actual process for the mascot is a year. So if it's something that we want to expand, it takes a year to get a mascot in terms of the planning and the design and the actual costume for it. So it's something that we definitely want to expand. And it is an opportunity through this process that we learned. It's scholarships. It's, mascot. It was like a whole new world was open up when we did this about what it can bring to a student population. So we're excited about it. And, if that opportunity comes, I'm sure we'll be able to kind of make it happen for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Okay, we are at 5.3. I'm sorry. I think-
So I'm really excited to present the Aviation and Flight Academy pathway. Joining us, we have the Executive Director of Red Tail Flight Academy, Mr. Carlos Rodriguez, and Air Force JROTC instructors, Master Sergeant Granda and Master Sergeant Carter. So, several months ago, early in the year, Dr. Manning Campbell asked that I reopen a discussion that she started 3 years ago with the leadership team at Red Tail Flight Academy. Red Tail Flight Academy, and these gentlemen will speak a little bit more about it, it is a premier aviation organization dedicated to empowering our youth through exposure to flight, mentorship, and aerospace education. She saw the potential, Dr. Manning Campbell saw the potential on how this pathway directly connects classroom learning to real-world opportunities. We immediately, once I brought two teams together, we immediately saw the natural connection between what Red Tail can do for us and what we already have here in the district. And speaking of natural connection, we just saw our goldback, a powerful bird who belongs in the sky. Right? That's what we want to do for our students. So, it is my pleasure to introduce you to our Executive Director, Mr. Rodriguez, and our JROTC instructors, who will speak about the proposal that we have before you.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Good evening, President, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent, administrators, and members of the Newburgh Enlarged City School District. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present what I believe can become an exceptional educational opportunity for our students at Newburgh Free Academy. Tonight, I am excited to introduce a proposed 4-year aviation, ground school, and flight academy pathway. Through our Air Force Junior ROTC program developed in partnership with Red Tail's Flight Academy. This partnership represents much more than simply teaching students how to fly an airplane. It is about creating a structure pathway that connects high school education, STEM, aviation, leadership, college, military service, and civilian career opportunities. Our vision is to create a pipeline that allows our students to see aviation not simply as something they can be interested in, but as something they can also actually pursue as a career. The proposed program is designed as a 4-year progression, beginning with an aviation and STEM foundation and ultimately leading qualified students towards practical flight training. Why does this partnership make sense? One of the most exciting aspects of this proposal is that the Air Force Junior ROTC already has the curriculum foundation for an honors ground school program. We have the educational framework, the aerospace science curriculum, the STEM connection, the leadership development, and the cadet structure already in place. However, there is one very important limitation. To take this program from an academic aviation course to a true flight training pathway, we need access to qualified aviation professionals, specifically instructors who are certified flight instructors, or CFIs, with the appropriate aviation credentials and practical flight experience. This is something our Air Force Junior ROTC program does not currently have. And this is exactly why Red Tail's Flight Academy is such a perfect partner for us. Rather than trying to recreate an aviation program that already exists in our community, we can bring together the strengths of both organizations. Air Force Junior ROTC brings the students, the educational structure, leadership, development, STEM integration, discipline, and aerospace curriculum. Red Tail's Flight Academy brings the aviation expertise, certified flight instructors, mentorship, ground school support, simulators, and flight experience, and access to aviation career opportunities. Together, we can provide our students with something neither organization could provide as effectively alone. So our 4-year pathway looks a little bit like this. The first year is established the foundation. Students will participate in Air Force Junior ROTC coursework while developing an understanding of aviation, aerospace science, safety, aerodynamics, aircraft systems, navigation, aviation history, regulation, and aviation meteorology. The program will also deliberately connect aviation to STEM curriculum students that they're already learning. This includes mathematics such as algebra, geometry, trigonometry. Students will also explore earth science and atmospheric systems, human biology, and aviation physiology, and physics principles such as Bernoulli's principle, force of flight energies, work, gyroscope principles, and optics. But this program is not intended to be simply another after-school activity. We want to establish a high-quality advancement process. So students will be expected to demonstrate academic excellence with a proposed minimum 85% GPA across the board, demonstrating aviation knowledge, participate in a cadet review board and interview, and complete an introductory discovery flight. In other words, we're going to challenge our students. We want students who are committed, academically prepared, disciplined, and genuinely interested in aviation. Year 2, that's the Honor Ground School Part 1. Year 2 is where the program begins to move into much deeper aviation curriculum. Students study aerodynamics, aircraft systems, weather, aerospace, navigation, and FAA regulation. This is where the partnership with Red Tails becomes especially important. Air Force Junior ROTC provides the academic and leadership framework. Red Tails can provide aviation expertise and real-world content from professionals who actually work in the aviation industry. Students won't just learn what an airplane does, they will begin to understand why it does it, how pilots make decisions, how weather affects flight, how aerospace is organized, and what it takes to safely operate an aircraft. Year 3, Underground Schools Part 2 and Capstone. Year 3 takes students even further. Students will study meteorology, navigation, aircraft performance, and flight planning. But we also want them to put that knowledge into practice. One of the centerpieces of the project will be our simulated capstone. Plan the flight, fly the plan. Students will develop a real-world flight plan and then use simulations to execute those flight plans. So in other words, they will build a flight plan leaving from Stewart Airport to, let's say, Massachusetts, Logan Airport. They have to plan that and how they're going to get there. Students will have to apply mathematics, weather information, navigation, aircraft performance, decision-making, and aviation regulations to accomplish the mission. Year 3 will also focus on preparing qualified students for national scholarship opportunities, including the Air Force Junior ROTC Flight Academy scholarship pathways. So in year 3, in their junior year, they can apply for the Air Force Flight Academy, and during the summer between their junior and senior year, they can go to an actual Air Force base and do flight training and get their private pilot's license. Year 4, practical flight training. And then we reach what I believe will be the most exciting part of the pathways, the cockpit. Students who successfully progress through the program will have the opportunity to move forward from the classroom and simulator to practical flight training with the Red Trails Flight Academy. The proposed flight training component includes pre-flight procedures, taxi operation, flight maneuvers, and cross-country flight training. Imagine what that means for the Newburgh student. A student who may have entered high school simply interested in aviation could potentially graduate having completed a structured aviation education and gain actual flight experience. This is transformational. This is more than flying. I want to emphasize that this program is not simply a pilot training program. Aviation is an industry that requires engineers, mechanics, air traffic controllers, meteorologists, cybersecurity professionals, aviation managers, airport professionals, pilots, and countless other careers. Therefore, even if every student who enters this pathway does not ultimately become a pilot, they will still gain valuable skills in STEM proficiency, critical thinking skills, problem solving, leadership, decision-making, communications, and teamwork. This is exactly the kind of education we should be providing our students. An after-school opportunity for our students will look like this. The proposed program will operate as an after-school program from November through May, on Tuesdays from 3 to 5 p.m. This gives students an opportunity to pursue something highly specialized without taking them away from their regular academic program. It also creates an opportunity for students to work alongside professionals and mentors from the aviation community. And importantly, our goal is to make this opportunity accessible. The proposed incorporates a scholarship-first philosophy seeking support through corporation sponsors, grants, community donors, and foundations so that financial barriers do not determine which students are able to participate. Why Red Tails Flight Academy? This is where I believe this partnership becomes truly special. And for that, I will have Mr. Rodriguez talk a little bit about what they do.
Why, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just want to say one thing. Everything he said was absolutely true. We just had a student last week, junior, going into his senior year, just completed his private pilot license at Air Force location in Oklahoma from just a little school across the river. So just FYI, it is real and the possibilities are really clear. First, thank you. 2023, we started this process, and I'm really glad to be here today. Colonel Fraser would be here with me. He's our board president. However, he had some issues, and I'll take care of his portion for this. Two things. I'm Carlos Rodriguez. I'm the executive director of the Lee A. Archer Jr. Red-Tailed Youth Flying Program. A long name, right? We don't use it too often. The Red-Tailed Flight Academy is one of our programs. So we're running 6 programs. This is a full-blown flight academy. We have a significant amount of assets on the ground at Stewart International Airport. We are a nonprofit focused on perpetuating the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen. So you may have heard of the Tuskegee Airmen before. They're World War II folks that had some challenges, overcame them, and did really well in the future. Affectionately known as the Red Tails. For us, been in operations for 25 years. And when I came on board, I couldn't figure out why we didn't have a stronger relationship with the city of Newburgh. We have people driving their kids from Scarsdale up to Stewart to come to our programs, but almost nobody from Newburgh. And it's 3 miles away. We thought that was a challenge. So we've been trying to do something about this for a little bit. And I think we're going to be successful. Let's see, our mission, right, is to use aviation as an aspirational platform to recruit, develop, expose, and place talent with an emphasis on people of color. But if you look at our pictures, there are all kinds of colors in there, okay? We bring assets and technical capability in a safety-oriented organization. So in aviation, you can imagine safety is everything. So we don't do anything without making sure it's safe first. We're at Stewart. At Stewart, we have a couple of assets that are important that will help at this level. We have a full-motion Redbird simulator. It's class 1. It has 3 birds on board, so we can do a lot of training at a lower cost and it be real. So this is a bird that moves, stalls airplanes, does everything. So we have three airplanes on that, and that's thankful to some nice donors. We also have 6 birds on the field. All right, we have Piper Archers and a couple Cessnas, and we have a twin. So the services we offer at the Flight Academy itself are, from my perspective, very basic. But we teach people to fly from this is an airplane all the way through to commercial multi-engine certified flight instructors, and we try to put them to work with us. So we keep our talent in-house, we train them, we build them, and we give them opportunities. All right. Small note here. This is an educational environment. So I don't know if this helps, but I'll talk a little bit about leadership. So Colonel Fraser is our board president. He is a retired lieutenant colonel from Stewart Air Base, and he is extremely senior 777 captain with United, as well as doing a lot of other things that pilots tend to do. I myself, I'm a U.S. Marine. I have a couple of bachelor's degrees in mathematics and operations research and a couple of masters in industrial administration and project management. I'm a former IBMer from across the river. From an aviation perspective, I'm commercial pilot type rated in CE 525s, citation jets. I'm a certified flight instructor, multi-engine instructor, advanced ground instructor, infantry ground, instrument ground instructor, some other stuff. So I only say that because the program and the leadership is credible, all right? And we're doing this, we are a nonprofit. We still need to make some money to obviously support our administrative costs, just like the school district does. However, our primary goal is not to make a profit. All right, our primary goal is to help kids, place them inside the aviation industry in a way that they can actually change their lives, trajectory, as well as families. So if you get one kid that goes to work for United, and in 25 years they're making $400,000 a year, working 17 days a month, they can do some other stuff. It's real. The industry itself, minority and women on the pilot side, probably about 2.7%. So opportunity is huge, right? And that's where we see it. Let's see. I think that's about it. We think this is a really good fit because education oriented, so are we. It fits our mission, military experience. Did I say I was a U.S. Marine? Oh yeah, I'm a U.S. Marine too. That's on the list, right? I have to say that because there's some Air Force right behind me. All right, and let's see. And the last piece is that we like to help kids despite their challenging situation. So we're trying to do work with the Boys and Girls Club of Newburgh. We do that. We're working with the Armory. So we couldn't figure out why we're not working with the Newburgh School District. So here I am. So with that, I will stand ready to answer any questions, and I'll return it to the Master Sergeant for his closing remarks. Thank you.
So we hope you approve our proposal tonight to support our young people with sky-high ambitions and give them the wings to reach their full potential. We are open to questions.
Mr. Bergarelli, go ahead, please. Thank you. Former Marine here as well, 93 through 99. Aviation, too. Do the students in this class have to be in the junior ROTC in order to participate?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
This time, yes, they do.
Thank you. Separate five.
Hey, Mike.
Mr.
Levinstein, please.
Hi, just a couple of questions to make it clear. So it's an after-school program. It's starting for incoming ninth graders. That's all that's available to you right now for this coming year, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
This time, yes.
And
Year one.
year one, is there an expectation that there will be a second year one next year? So it's not just one cohort that we hope to have additional?
We'll cascade it.
May I?
Yes, please.
So the program has to be based in some core knowledge, right? So there was a reference to mathematics, physics, human biology, and earth science. So I speak at it from a perspective of if the students don't have a current base that is sufficient to be successful in year 2 and 3, they'll never be successful in year 4. We can move them through a program, but they won't be successful. In aviation, the issues come to light very quickly. It's binary. You either know or you don't know. If you don't know, there can be a terrible consequence. All right, even if you do know, it can still be a terrible consequence, but the likelihood is there. So the program, in my view, is going to say, base knowledge, start the pilot curriculum, finish the pilot curriculum, and go fly. That simple. However, if we had, and I'll say this, I've seen students from my other work that can't tell me they're seniors, graduated, and they can't tell me how many degrees are in a circle. So for navigation, you need to know that there's 360 degrees in the circle, and you need to know north, south, east, and west. Very core question. I still ask that question today in our scholarship application. So I hope that helps, because it's a building platform, and we have to secure the base first.
And it's 30 students per cohort? Is that
It
what-
will be our first year. I don't know how many, because again, we established a core of what we want. So they have to have at least an 85% in their basic core subjects. They have to go through, an interview with the Red Tails and ourselves to see if this is a good fit, and then take a basic knowledge test to move forward to the ground school. But as of right now, I don't know how many. We're hoping maybe between 10, 15, maybe 20. But that's a big, hefty goal, but we will make it happen.
All right, I'm sorry, Mr. President, just one other thing. I forgot what I was going to say. I'll remember, and I'll bother you. Sorry.
What I do want to mention is that safety first, right? We're not going to put children up in the air who can't read a map, who can't read a compass, right? So that's why there needs to be expectations, math expectations, science expectations. Now, the other thing is, you can join the program, but maybe you're not interested in flying. Maybe you're interested in a different direction. There's so many careers within FAA world that will be open to our kids.
Mr. Howard. Then Mr.
Thank you.
Bergeron.
I'm actually glad you mention what you mentioned and you followed up with that, because my question is based around opportunity and access. So we know that these are going to be requirements that are going to be available for people who qualify for this incredible program. I'd like to know, I guess, are there any plans in place to start reaching out to kids earlier? Because when you get into ninth grade, as everybody knows, in the 4 years of your GPA, you start with a low GPA, it's hard as hell to get it up. Is there any plans to start talking to kids 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, just let them know opportunities like this is available and know where they need to focus and concentrate? And I guess more of that would be with the parents, but also with the kids. Let them know this opportunity is available and what it entails and what it requires and what you need to do so that when you hit ninth grade, you can hit the ground running. And if you are interested in such an incredible program like this, they'll be ready, because a lot of our kids don't know things are available to them until they get there. And I would think in a program like this, that's too late.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. That was, you reminded me what I wanted.
Mr. Bergerelli.
Okay. I can share some, as I mentioned, as part of the Lee Archer group, we'll call it group of programs, one of my programs is working with the Newburgh Armory, and those are the 2nd graders to 7th graders. So very simple, if there's interest, and you're in Newburgh, and you're 2nd grade to 7th grade, and your parents agree, maybe you could show up there, right? Also, you can have a communication program inside your school district for the earlier, we call them early birds, all right, from my perspective. So you can introduce that to them earlier. So we do that today. I just don't know how the integration is going to be planned just at this minute.
Okay, so just a follow-up to that. I'm very familiar with what you do over at the Armory. I'm on the board of directors over there, and I'm a big fan of your program over there. But that's with the Armory. And even over at the Armory, we get so many kids that are from our school district that don't participate over at the Armory like we want them to. So I guess this would be more of a collaboration. I would hope that as a school district, we can start doing something to encourage kids to maybe participate in the Armory program, knowing that that's a pathway to this program once they get to the high school level, maybe?
So the other thing we would do is, so every year, we have our cadets go to all the feeder schools, Temple Hill, everywhere, to talk just about junior ROTC and why, they should join our program. Now we can integrate, hey, we got an honors ground school flight academy. If you're interested in flying, so that we would put that into our presentation when we go to the feeder schools. We try to go twice a year. We try to go like towards beginning of January and then towards May to because that's how we keep our program rolling. So that would be a way of feeding this pipeline.
Thank you very much.
I just want to also thank Dr. Soto, because this is the work that we're doing with New York State Portrait of a Graduate to expand our opportunities. New York State is going through graduation requirements, so the development of these type of programs district-wide is going to assist us and prepare us for Portrait of a Graduate. So thank you.
Thank you. So just real quick, 30 students in a cohort is what we're looking at. You have the ability to push 30 kids through this to year 4 to where, would they actually be getting their license in year 4 or just the beginning of their flight training, their actual cockpit training?
So if your question is, the capacity exists, the answer, yes, right?
Okay.
If you're talking about there's 100% yield on the start, I would not guarantee that.
Okay.
Right,
And
because this is a learning exercise.
Yeah.
And we will have some attrition as we go through, and
Absolutely.
kids will change their mind. So that's a reality check that is important to note.
And part 2 is, this isn't cheap. What's it, about 25 grand to get a POS license or so? Is there a student portion to that? Is there, like?
I would say that is to be discussed. However, I am a nonprofit, and
Yes.
If you were to go to Orange County, I guarantee my rates are going to be significantly better for the Newburgh School District.
Okay.
If that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for Mr. Howard and to Dr. Soto. I would think we could organize class trips for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. It's a 5-minute, and board members, 5-minute trip, but based on the kids and based on what I know about the simulators, I think when they see them, you'll have many more than 30 children that are, 30 students are interested. And for Mr. Rodriguez, do we have at the beginning of the program, you mentioned red tails, do we have a historical lesson for the kids about one of the greatest stories in aviation history?
So the answer is yes. I support the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen, and that is part of my requirement.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we are going to go back to item 2, executive session. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose: matters made confidential under FERPA, matters leading to the employment of particular employees or corporations, employment history of employees or corporations, collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, and to obtain advice from legal counsel. Get a motion and a second for executive session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We anticipate 15 to 30 minutes. We are back in public session. We're at item 3.1, public comment on agenda items. We have no one signed up tonight. If anybody would like to speak on agenda items, please approach the podium. Ms. Wallace?
Hi, Tracy Wallace, City of Newburgh resident. I just really had a question. There was a lot of policies added in this agenda. It was quite lengthy, had a lot of red lettering. I read, it was, so the resolution the two that I was concerned about was, one, the web accessibility. I'm assuming the web accessibility policy was changed because you're, abiding by the law of what's supposed to be implemented in April 2027, which is accessibility in WCAG 2.1 level AA. I happen to be reading that exact WCAG recently. That's how I know what it is. And in understanding that web accessibility, to anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, the web accessibility includes, making sure that people with different disabilities that use different communications can access the information from the web. So I know that you're abiding by the law that's that we have to follow coming up in April 2027, and so therefore everyone has to follow the WCAG 2.1 double AA. The other one was the time out and restraint. I don't have it in front of me. Some of the questions were some of the verbiage. I just wanted to know if everyone has read through it. Some of the verbiage was questionable as far as in some cases it said where in New York State, is to my knowledge, that physical restraint is not allowed, or there's something for New York State where restraint is not allowed, and you had added some parts to that. I don't have the legal verbiage right now, but then in the same policy, you have where it is allowed in some cases. So it's just really confusing in which the wording is in the policy that says where in some instances it's allowed. I understand where in some instances a restraint is not allowed for punishment, right? So I know that you can't restrain someone as far as punishment, but then it is allowed for other things. So it's just really confusing as far as the way the resolution is written. And so I was wondering if some clarity to that resolution could be brought to the board, because I know if I'm reading the same policy as the board, it has to be confusing for the board as well, and wondering why the policy says both it's allowed and not allowed, and then people with disabilities were added, not added. It was just very confusing. So I was hoping for some explanation for clarity for the public and for the board on that specific resolution. So it's really kind of questions and clarity I'm looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak on agenda items?
Good evening, Madam President. I'm sorry, Mr. President, school board and community. My name is Dennis Grant, and today I want to speak about the 2026-27 District Comprehensive Improvement Plan, the DCIP. First, I appreciate the district has followed the New York State Education Department's process. The presentation that will probably be shown tells us that the decision was supposed to be grounded in evidence, that stakeholders were involved, and the process moved from a needs assessment to a shared vision, then to cohort district actions. But my concern is simple. Where are the numbers? Where are the numbers? The presentation says the team reviewed evidence, identified inequities, and ultimately developed what it calls a focused, measurable district improvement plan. But if it's measurable, then we, the public, should be able to clearly see what we are measuring, where we are starting, where we expect to finish, and by when. The plan identifies for the proper priorities, high quality tier 1 instruction, teacher learning, and support student success and assess and attendance. Those are good priorities, but priorities without clear presented outcomes can become intentions instead of accountability. For tier 1 instruction, for example, what percentage of students are currently proficient in reading and math, and what is the measurable target for June 2027? For student success and equitable opportunity, what achievement gaps were identified during the equitable analysis? Which groups are experiencing those gaps? And by exactly how much does this plan expect to close them? For attendance, what is our current chronic absenteeism rate? What is the target, and who is accountable if we do not reach it, student and teachers alike? And I want to emphasize something else. The presentation states that the team identified inequities and considered district actions to address them. I would like to ask the board to ask administration to publicly identify those inequities. Because if we identify inequity, we shouldn't be afraid to name it. Which students are not being served adequately? We have parents come here often. Where, why, and what are we doing differently this year than we did last year? The final presentation tells the board that the DCIP connects district systems, school improvement plans, and measurable student outcomes. That is exactly where I believe the board's oversight, that is exactly where I believe the board's oversight responsibility begins. Responsibility begins. I am asking the board to require a simple public accountability dashboard for this DCIP, establish the baseline, establish the 26 to 27 target, report progress quarterly, break the results down by student groups, as I previously mentioned, where appropriate, and explain what corrective action will occur when a target is missed. We should not have to wait next year for improvements plan to discover whether this year's improvement plan worked. Compliance tells us that we focused, or I should say, compliance tells us that we followed the process. Accountability tells us whether our children actually benefit from it. And ultimately, that not the process is how this plan ought to be judged. So, thank you.
Mr. Grant, before you leave the podium, please. I would urge you to send an email asking for the goals of the board. I'm not sure if you were here for that, but the first one is academic success, and it answers a lot of the questions you just asked. It does. In terms of a reporting matrix. Yes. Okay? Thank you, sir.
I think it's on board docs. So maybe take a look, if not, just email one of us, and then we'll be able to send it to you. Onyx wants to speak.
Go ahead, Ms. Peterson.
And then if you can just stay, because I'm about to present on DSAP so that you have an understanding, because I think that some of the presentation will bring clarity to what this plan is. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Would anybody else like to speak on agenda items? All right, then we will move to item 4.1, comments on non-agenda items. Anybody with do we have anybody signed up? No one has signed up. If anybody would like to speak, please approach the podium.
Hi, Tracy Wallace, commenting as a city resident, city of Newburgh resident. I just want to know some follow-up on the comment I made at the last meeting about exceptional learners and our switch from 8-1-3 to 12-1-1, 12-1-3. 8-1-3 programs are for children who need more supportive and education, and 12-1-1 is more of students that can learn independently.
Could we answer?
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Good evening. So the different programs from New York State that is outlined, 813s and different ratios, we always look for least restrictive environment for students as per New York State regulations. And depending on the program, the smaller programs are not only for academics, it's for management needs. And all the decisions are incorporated with parents or in annual review meetings. And it's all based on data, whether students need a smaller setting to support their needs, whether it be management. And if you look on the state regs, it gives a breakdown of the overall profile for the different classes. So the programs are based on student need, not necessarily, it's by data for each student, not necessarily changing from one to the other.
Okay, so it was, to my knowledge, that parents received letters or notification that students who were in the supportive education class, the 8-1-3 or the I believe it's 8-1-3, 8 students, 1 teacher, 3 teacher assistants, that they were notified. I don't know how many students it affected. Was it 40 to 50 students, or was it less than that who were affected in this? And also the question was, some of the parents didn't know where their child was going because of the change in the numbers from 8 to 12. And the clarity of where their student was going, how were they getting the information, they didn't get the information right away, and that why the changes were made in the summer after the IEP, after everyone met after the IEPs, after everyone met to update their IEPs at the end of the year. Parents were wondering why this change was made in the summer and not, been told to them during their IEP meeting that these changes were happening. So that's why I was asking about the changes, and it was in the summer, and how it's going to affect our exceptional learners. And, I thought that there was a letter going to be put out. I thought that you were going to make a statement on the website about it, but, that's why my concerns come from, really the parents' concerns of these changes and how it affects them, how it affects those kids, and how many are going to be placed outside, and is a district paying for those students too, if they're going to be needing to get education outside of our district, if they're placed outside of our district. So these are the varying questions that came along with the changes.
We want to make sure that you get it all out. Are you finished with everything? Because we don't want your time to run out.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So when you asked that question 2 weeks ago, I responded and I said that it would depend on the circumstance, and so we can't have a blanket statement to say that we're moving from 8 to 12 just because we want to, right? We don't just do a one-size-fits-all. We have to, as Ms. McKitty-Bromley said, we have to look at data to drive the decisions that we make. And so you indicated 40 or 50 students when, in all actuality, one parent reached out to Ms. McKitty-Bromley, who she actually met with and explained the situation to her. In addition to that, if we have to move a child, student, scholar, outside of the district, we are required to, by law, to provide instruction outside the district has to pay for the student. We don't just send them out, we have to pay. We are required by law to pay for them. So we can't do that. I'll let Mrs. Bromley finish the rest of it to make sure that you have all the information that you need. So we can't just say one statement. It depends on the situation and the circumstance. And if anyone still has any questions, I would recommend that they reach out to Mrs. McKitty-Bromley so they can have their individual question answered, because this is not the right forum, because there are too many questions and too many different scenarios. But thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
So you can reach out if you have any additional questions. Feel free to send any parents, or you can have a conversation.
Thank you. Still on non-agenda. Does anybody have any comments for non-agenda items?
I do. Point of information, I would
Go ahead,
like
Ms.
to add. I want the public to understand the context behind Trustee Thomasina Bello's resignation, because the circumstances directly affect public representation. What happened this week is not just unfortunate. It is the direct result of unilateral leadership. Trustee Thomasina Bello did not resign because she lacked commitment. She resigned because the board president made decisions that left her no viable way to continue serving the people who elected her. When one person changes meeting times without discussion, without a vote, and without any regard for trustees' work obligations, that is not governance. That is imposition. And the consequence is not borne by trustees. It's borne by the public. Hundreds of voters lost their elected representative because the president's decisions made her participation impossible. Trustee Bello worked 2 jobs, and leaving early for board meetings means walking away from significant income. No volunteer should be forced to take a financial loss because the president decides, on his own, to move meetings earlier. Trustees did not have a choice. She did not have a choice. There was no compromise. There was no collective decision. The president made the choice for her. Her resignation is not an isolated event. It is the predictable result of a pattern. When minority trustees find ways to participate, new barriers appear. When concerns are raised, new pressures follow. And when trustees' work schedules conflict with unilateral decisions, the message is clear. Their service is optional, but the president's preferences are mandatory. It's telling that even the public wasn't considered when the meeting time was moved to 5:30, a time when many residents are commuting, having dinner, or simply unable to attend. The decision didn't expand access, it reduced it. So the voters who elected Trustee Thomasina Bello deserve stability, respect, and a board structure that supports participation. Instead, they lost their voice at this table because of one person's decisions. That is the truth, and the public deserves to hear it plainly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bello. I would note that none of that was written into the actual resignation letter. Further comments, non-agenda items?
Dennis Grant again. That was a good intro. I'm going to say this. How did we not have a quorum on Tuesday? Who was not available? Names, transparency. I understand that one was with newborn, and I just found out the other one resigned. Secondly, I want to recognize something positive. Our district has finally built a new career center building, and that's a good thing. That is an accomplishment worth celebrating, and it will be now and forevermore. CT represents opportunity, giving students pathways into skilled trades, technology, careers, and also a good paying job. But tonight, my concern is not simply about what we have successfully built. My concern is whether we are equally prepared to maintain, repair, and renovate what we already have. Living in the city of Newburgh, you learn something very quickly. Sometimes it's easier to build something new than it is to go back and repair what was built yesterday. And that is important because we have school buildings throughout this district that are much older than our brand new CT facility. As renovations and capital improvements continue throughout our district, and yeoman's work, by the way, by this administration, we have to recognize the difference between constructing a new building and renovating an old one. With new construction, you generally know what you're starting with. But with an older building, you don't always know what you're dealing with until you open up those walls. You may discover asbestos or other hazardous materials that have been, or that have to be properly addressed. You may find outdated electrical, plumbing, ventilation, roofing, mechanical systems. I remember Barnville's building addition. My kids grew in that building as the building grew. That was a wonderful thing. But you may even discover that I will call, well, what I call some shoddy work by somebody yesteryear. Work that may have gotten the building through 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but now has to be corrected. And that takes time. And every unexpected condition can mean delays, change orders, and disruption of our students, teachers, and staff. I remember every year as a child helping my mother sort out her classroom in the beginning of the school year and breaking it down at the end of the school year. That was child labor. Yeah, it was. Especially for a kid who didn't want to go back to school, then I go to school to break down a class. Couldn't destroy it, had to break it down. There's a difference. But children and parents may not agree with the renovation issues, but at least give them clarity to understand. Building new is always exciting. Maintenance isn't exciting, but maintenance protects taxpayers' investments. So as we celebrate the CTE building and continue renovating schools across this wonderful district, I asked this school district to adopt a simple philosophy. Build it right, maintain it right, repair it before it becomes a crisis, and when problems are discovered, communicate them honestly and simply to the public. I'll say that again, honestly and simply to the public, because the true measure of our investment isn't simply what we can build today, it's what we're willing to take care of tomorrow, like our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? Non-agenda items. Good evening.
Eneen Williams, City of Newburgh. I am a go-back. I'm a retiree of this district. I want to congratulate our district on this great accomplishment. 3 words came to mind while I was sitting here listening: faith, focus, and integrity. Faith, focus, and integrity. I'm a leader in many aspects of my community, and I know what leadership is. I know what it is to do it. I know what it is to sit in the seat and view it from outside, and for people not to understand what it is to have faith, focus, and integrity. As a leader, we cannot cover everything ourselves. We have to entrust things to other people to do them. And the only way that they will come out right is through faith, focus, and integrity. So what I encourage us to do is celebrate, keep moving forward. We've been through many challenges in this room and in this district together. But our faith has held us strong, our integrity has held us tight, and our focus keeps us driving ahead. So I am saying to you, keep moving. Do not be dismayed, do not be discouraged, because we have lots of ground to cover for those who are coming behind us, especially in the climate that we live in today. I celebrate this district where I have served as a community resident and as a leader in this community, where the students here who are now adults that I had still yell across the street, "Hey, Ms. Williams, you remember me?" To know that we live in a community that is proud to be here and proud to go forward. So we are going to develop. And HVAC, yeah, we got to get some HVAC people, hallelujah, to fix our air conditioners and our heating units, hallelujah, that are trained and produced from our educational system in the Newburgh and Large City School District. Yeah, we have some certified nursing assistants that's going to come out of here, hallelujah, to take care of us, hallelujah, because I looked at the roster today, and I noticed that one of my colleagues, she done passed on. The last meeting I was at, there was another colleague that passed on. We have to stay focused. So let's keep our faith, let's keep our focus, let's keep our integrity, and let's not be distracted by the distractions nor the interrupters. Keep moving forward.
Thank you. We are still on non-agenda items, if anybody would like to approach the podium. All right, we're going to close that then. We are at item 5.4, the District Comprehensive Improvement Plan. Ms. Peterson will be doing the presentation.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. Is there a click or somebody clicking for me? Okay, I'm going to say next slide. So the district comprehensive improvement plan this year was definitely a little bit different than we've encountered before. As the community and the board is aware, we have a school that's in receivership, as well as a school that is ATSI, our Heritage Middle School. So the state comes in and they support us a little differently. It's a highly structured process that the district went through. Can we do the first slide? So basically, NECSD comes in. They have an individual team of individuals that support districts that are in this situation. They want to make sure that we're being purposeful in our planning and that we are being focused. Over the last couple years, NECSD changed some of its accountability structure, and they really wanted to make sure that school districts were focusing and were really targeting and making structured changes. So some of the things that districts have been doing in the past, the district said, the state said, we want you to look at different things because we know what moves districts forward, and sometimes the focus of the district is not actually where we can show that improvement. So the first thing that the state required is that we meet with one of their consultants to really review our data and to understand the new process, and that person was me. I met with the state, it was a coach. They really kind of went through the different requirements of the district comprehensive plan and the accountability system the district must adhere to moving forward. The first thing was there was a meeting to gather evidence and a need assessment, and that really focused on central administration. That was a session that was highly structured with our directors and our assistant superintendents of curriculum and instruction to really dig down into our data and to set some of the focus that we see as a district administration. We wanted to make sure that there was a shared vision and district priorities before we met with building level administrators, and we wanted to ensure that what we saw based on the data was being communicated. Next slide. So there was clear expectations that were set from NECSD. Central administration met together to get needs assessment. We did surveys. We looked at different aspects of our curriculum. And then that moved to a school-based voice. And this is where school-based administration and leaderships came together to really look at different concerns that they saw from the building level. We also had to add into that subgroup expertise. So the state required for us to look at our data and to say, where are subgroups struggling? So where we saw there were some concerns coming out of our central office team, we definitely saw some concerns with special education. We saw concerns with our English language learners, as well as some concerns around our attendance and making sure that our development of staff was appropriate. So as we met as a larger district team, those individuals were included to ensure that we were focused on the realities of what our school district is experiencing. So if you look at the collective, next slide, the next team, the DCEP team was smaller than it usually is. There have been times within the district where the DCEP team that I've experienced was 40 to 50 people. The state said, no, it's too many people. It takes us away from the purpose. Sometimes districts get marred in some of the day-to-day operational things and really don't look at the data and don't set the priorities to help students move forward. So they mandated that the group stayed small and that it stay focused. So there were select members from NTA, CSEA, NASA, and Central Administration. I had about 20 people. They didn't even like the number, that number. They felt it was large, but I said, we're a large district. We have, 13, 14 buildings, campuses, and I really wanted to make sure that there was that voice because we do have a lot of special populations that we need that expertise. Next slide. So there was 4 meetings. Actually, I think I did 5 because our equity analysis took me 2 meetings, where we talked about the consistency, the shared vision of Tier 1 instruction. And that session was really important because we really needed to communicate from the central office and building-based lens what effective Tier 1 instruction looked like in the Newburgh and Large City School District. And that really took some time for us to really to work on. And what does it look like? What does it feel like? Not the obstacles as to how we can get there, but if I am a student walking into a classroom, how do I want to feel? And as an educator instructing that classroom. So it was a different way of thinking in that activity, and we were able to really come up with a strong Tier 1 definition that can be shared with the rest of the district. We also did an equity analysis. Now, this is something that is required for us to do, and it was required for us to submit to the state with the district comprehensive plan. And it required district leadership to really go through all different types of data. Human resources data, attendance data, substitute fill rate, longevity in certain areas, and what buildings maybe in the district, unbeknownst to us, we're not getting the same equitable treatment as others. And it really surprised us when we did this. This was something new that the state mandated that the district complete. It also made us look at the percentage, if there were percentages of uncertified teachers. It also made us look at teacher absences, the percentage of teacher with less than 3 years of experience, average years of the experience of principals and APs. We also looked at the student ratio of student support throughout the building, whether that's counselors, social workers, librarians, nurses, or psychologists. And this was an interesting one. At first, I really didn't think that this was going to bring a big inequity, but it likelihood of finding a substitute teacher to cover teacher absences. And what we found is that our Tier 3 schools struggle to find absence coverage for their buildings. So it's something that shocked the committee when we looked at all that absenteeism data. We also looked at other equitable enrollment comparisons, the number of free and reduced lunch, the percentages of students with disabilities, the percentage of Ls, the attendance performance index, referrals, if there is an active PTA within the building, as well as the number of students that attended preschool in that institution, and the number of students that are enrolled in the school after each September. So how are the schools retaining their students within? What we found that was interesting about really gathering this data was the number of students that had access to instrumental music programs. So that was another measurement that we had to look at. Like, are we offering the same program and the same access across all of our buildings? And we found that there's some disparities within that access to that program. We also found that the way that we spread out special education programs across our district was not equitable. And I know that that's something that the Exceptional Learning Department is working on to ensure that there is that access and availability to programs. Also the retention of students. How are we really allowing students to not transfer? Because we know that the transfer of students from building to building can then have an impact on their overall education. So those are some of the things that we looked at within the DSEP committee that had to be submitted to the state. And I think that it's important for the community and the board to know that this plan has to be approved by the state before I even present it to you. It's something that they have to look at our metrics. They have to look like how we're measuring our Tier 1 instruction, how we're building systems. Next slide. Nope, I think you went the opposite way. Okay, so some of the emerging DSEP centers that the group, when we went through the process, really found that we really needed to define what Tier 1 instruction looked like within our district. We needed to define it for administration. We also needed to define it for our teachers. We also needed to really talk about teacher learning and support. This year was the first year that the district launched instructional coaches throughout the district, and we really needed to ensure that teachers that were new to our district, or even teachers that are in, had access to curriculum maps. They had protected collaboration time, coaching, and specialist access when needed if there was a problem or a concern, and we needed to do it in a way that was a little bit, was more structured and organized. We also needed student success and access to MTSS programs and pathway, and that our students needed to understand what was available to them if they needed support. And then we talked a little bit about attendance in district structures, barriers, that we needed to really make sure that we had a more cohesive attendance system, not only for staff, but also for students. So, next slide. So what I think is important for the board to take away is that the teams were purposely assembled, and it was structured based on the guidance that was given to us by NECSD, that it was representative, and we tried to make sure that the areas that we saw that we were struggling in our assessment data were represented within the cycle. And actually, we really focused on making sure that everything had coherence, so that it aligned, right? We are going to be presented to you soon our strategic plan, and we wanted to also make sure that it aligned really what the work is with curriculum instruction. So there is the actual plan. It is going to be posted online tomorrow, and it'll be brought back at our next board meeting for approval. That really kind of goes through some of those metrics. It describes and it talks about what Tier 1 instruction is. It also talks about what are some of the goals and methods and the implementation and data and monitoring indicators and improvement indicators. So, and it also has roles in terms of who will be doing what part of it, part of that work, whether it is curriculum and instruction, student support, exceptional learners, development of MTSS programs, whether it is roles and actions and plans that must be taken up by principals and assistant principals, different supports that need to happen for families, as well as what we need to do to better communicate and also bring intervention to our attendance programs throughout the district. Because we know that students need to be in the seat to grow academically, and we want to ensure that our parents and students have clear understanding of that. So, are there any questions?
Yes, Ms. Peterson. So I like the plan, but are there any plans? What are the checkpoints that are going to be used to measure where we are as a district in regards to the program?
So if you look, and that's why I didn't
plan.
put it on for approval tonight, I gave everybody the plan, there's copies that I've also provided for the board, because those checkpoints are actually listed. So for each one of the goals, for instance, one of the goals, the district action is to ensure that building administration communicates and monitors faculty use of curriculum maps, right? So that's an important thing. How are we progress monitoring instruction throughout the classroom? It talks about the implementation, the work of CNI and what they must do. It talks about data monitoring and checkpoints, as well as implementation indicators for success. So for each one of these areas in the plan, and that's why I didn't put it on for approval tonight, I wanted the board to have the opportunity to read and to ask any questions about the plan before we put it up for approval. And I just want the board to know that this has actually gone through our state monitor, and they had us clarify certain areas and aspects of our plan to ensure that it met with their metrics for progress monitoring and data monitoring.
So with the words you mentioned, community, and I think community is important, and I think community is going to be play an important role in how we progress with our plan. Are there any plans to limit the technical terms to make it more readable to community members? Because a lot of this stuff, attendance, seat time, reading, or stuff like that we're trying to accomplish, a lot of people in our community don't understand things that are explained at a certain level. And I think that for us to be more successful as a district, getting the buy-in from our community, because we need buy-in from our community, Is there any way to make this more readable to some people?
Well, I have to, as a district, we must adhere to New York State, right? So I have to have a plan that has some educational terms in it. I think the implementation points of the plan will be the points where we'll be able to kind of make sure that it's easy to digestible for our community. I know that Dr. Manning.
No, there's nothing wrong with your plan. I'm talking about that we try to get to the community.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He wants to burglarize it. Not burglarize it, but burglarize it. So, Doctor, I wanted to get your attention. So, Dr. O'Grady, I know at some point last year you talked about doing a vocabulary similar, like a crosswalk, to really look at the educational jargon and really have a vocabulary template to kind of explain what does MTSS mean, because I know that was one of the words, Ms. Peterson, that you use, and folks may not necessarily know what that means. Seat time, you have to be here a certain number of days unless you're marked absent, right? So they need that, I guess, that dictionary, so to speak, right? The Newburgh Dictionary in terms of educational jargon, so they understand what that means. If we have any admin interns, maybe that's a project for them that they can do and put it on the website. Where's Dr. Sklar? She's around. Thank you.
She's left the building.
So I think that's
Yeah.
essentially what Mr. Howard is asking for.
Oh, she's out.
I'm happy to work with you on that. We started it last year. So the idea is, so in education, the terms are changing all of the time. And so I want to be really clear that we don't think like our folks in our community are unable to understand what we're talking about. We're talking about how the acronyms and the verbiage changes all the time. So my mother works for a doctor's office, right? And she's one of the smartest people that I know. And sometimes I'll be using my educationalese and she's like, can you take that out of teacher talk, right? So that I can understand it. And so that just makes good, clean sense. And so I'm happy to support you. It was actually Ms. Fuchek's idea last year to come up with that glossary when we started it. And so happy to expand on that.
Mr. Levinstein, please.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. So I see where you're going to show us what the plan is and what the direction is and what we want to get going forward. Are we going to be able to see the data where we're at that created this, need or plan?
You received the data, some of the data last year when we did our overview. So our current accountability plan and what we're working toward is kind of like on a year behind. It's like kind of on a year lag, right? So this plan was based on our accountability data from last year, which is really focused on what we're seeing concerns around our middle level. So it is like kind of a year behind, and then next year we'll be making a plan for last year's data. So that's the difficult part because there is a lag in state assessments and different things like that. So the board was presented that. I'm not sure when we presented that.
We presented that, I want to say in the spring.
In the spring of last year, we presented this accountability that this plan was based on.
And it was also presented, Mr. Levinstein, when the buildings came out of accountability status, the 6 buildings, all those buildings that came out, because we have no elementary schools in accountability status. No elementary schools in accountability status. Just want to say it again. No elementary schools in accountability status and no high schools, because we're that incredible. So when those buildings came out of accountability status, we shared the data then as well. And with the district school report card, which is on the NECSD website, that's there too.
Well, okay, I understand.
No
So the
buildings in
a couple of things. And do we have any elementary schools in the?
Not one single
okay.
elementary school in
Thank you.
accountability status.
Thank you very much. I understand if you're working with data a year old to make a plan going forward, it's not probably the greatest thing to do, but I understand that's where we're at, and that's what happens.
I think that's why this state has changed aspects of the accountability system, and I think it made the movement for DSEP to be that more focused and in the accountability data because it is a little bit of a lag on the data, but we have data we review data all the time, right? So this is not just our accountability data. We use report card data. We use walkthrough data. We use all different data points throughout our year to say, hey, there's definitely something. And I think the first part of the DSEP process was to really meet with district administration and then building administration to say, hey, what are we seeing that we're having concerns with? And these are when those things came up about curriculum maps, progress monitoring, how we are really teaching to the standards. We're looking at the standards that came out of state assessments, and we really said, hey, we're missing the mark in certain areas, we're missing the mark in certain writing areas. So we're always consistently looking at data to try to formulate intervention plans and professional development to try to support teachers and student learning.
I understand, and yes, we do see data. I don't remember ever seeing musical instrument data by school or grade or whatever. I'm just using that as an example. So there's a lot more data that the state told you to look at to create the plan going forward. Do we see, a fifth grade test in math? Yeah, we do see that. But there's deeper things that
Right.
I think help.
So those deeper things are always reported to the state, right? So that's a part of our state reporting. There's many things that the public and the community may not know that the district reports out to the state around attendance, staff certification. So some of these reports were actually given to us. They have our data. We must report. We must report staff certification, staff attendance, years of service. We have to report some of this. So they're also sharing our data back with us and saying, hey, like, do you realize these things? So, I mean.
But that is something we don't see. That's my point.
Right. I mean, I definitely think that, and that's a part of the comprehensive plan is for us to look at our data that we're sending them a little bit differently. If you want to look through the instrumental data, it's something that we could provide to the board, but it is analyzed by a group of professionals and the DSEP team to say, hey, this is what we have and what do we think about this? Because that's really, it's the data and how we analyze it to make action around the data.
Thank you.
Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. DeRay. So, Ms. Peterson, so you did mention something that was quite poignant, and when you mentioned the inequities across the buildings. Can you share with us what some of those inequities were and what's the plans in place to address those?
For the most part, and that's also part of the DSEP plan, so if you read through it, it's going to show you what the inequities. The ones that I saw the most were access to musical programs, were the sub-access. For the most part, our district was pretty equitable in its resources. Tier 3 access to substitutes was definitely something. Access to music instrumentals was something that came up. So if you look at the plan, a part of our action plan is to say, hey, we need to look into music instrumentals. So that's a part of our DSEP, that's a part of the action plan that's within here when you review it. We also said, hey, we need to look at how we are monitoring substitute costs, which is also in here, as well as access to student support and MTSS. So all of those action plans are within the DSEP.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions?
Thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Thank you.
Just want to have a quick commercial while Ms. Peterson's going to her seat. You did a very good job, by the way. Thank you very much. I failed to mention when Ms. Wallace was speaking, Ms. McKitty Bromley, and I think to your point, Mr. Howard, will start some presentations to have an overview of special education. So I believe the first one will either be the end of September or early October, and she'll have a few of those throughout the year. So we will begin to advertise those so that families have an understanding of special education, and then you'll have a forum where you can ask your questions, and it's, it's more intimate, so it's not in this big setting where you don't necessarily have your responses. Dr. Freeman Mack will also have a session. She's bursting at the seams to talk, so she can talk all she wants when she has her code of conduct. She'll talk about lots of different things because I won't let her talk now. So she's gonna have all sorts of things to talk about that night. So she'll also have a code of conduct conversation sometime in October. She'll have you for hours that night.
All right, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Manning. All right, so we're... All right, up next is 55, 56, 57, 3 items for action. Get a motion, and would anybody like to separate any item?
I'd like to separate them, all three, to vote
Okay.
individually.
Thank you. Then we will begin with item 5.5. Mr. Levinstein?
I'd like to make a motion to table item 5.5.
Thank you. Get a second on table, item 5.5.
Second.
Wait,
Get it on the table.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion second.
Okay, motion and a second on 5.5, please.
so moved.
Second.
Now I'd like to make a motion to table.
Wait, you need to vote on it.
Okay. Call the vote.
I am, oh, no? Oh, okay. Thank you, David.
I would like to make a motion to table 5.5, please.
sorry.
Thank you. Get a second on the motion to table.
Second.
To table. Got it.
Go ahead, call.
Okay. Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Motion carries. Wow, and Mr. Bergarelli, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Get a motion and a second on 5.6, please.
So moved.
Discussion on 5.6.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
No.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 5.7, get a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on the item?
Okay. Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We are at item 6, Board President. If we could put up that attachment, please. Before I get into the policy reading, I wanted to bring the public up to date on a decision on an appeal filed by 3 taxpayers, including 1 trustee, Christine Bello. The decision was rendered August 6, 2026. I will give you some background on this. This goes back to a period of time from July to September of last year. We had suspended an acting superintendent and appointed Ms. Peterson, deputy superintendent, as acting superintendent. 3 petitioners brought an appeal questioning whether we were allowed to compensate Ms. Peterson for her extra duties as acting superintendent during that time period. The decision is on, if you could scroll to the last page, please. Ultimately, it says the appeals are dismissed. And I'm going to, this paragraph above there I'm going to read. And it says, while the appeals must be dismissed, I admonish the board to ensure that all agreements to provide additional compensation to district employees are transparent and prospective. Retroactive payments create an appearance of impropriety even where, as here, there is no evidence that such impropriety occurred. I'm the board president. That responsibility rests with me. It was filed. It took us a while to get this out the door. The reason I put this up is because during this time period, people stood at the podium and berated Ms. Peterson, absolutely berated her, called the board corrupt, quoted laws, gift laws, tax laws, all sorts of laws, all from the University of Chat. And that is just not the way to do business. So I bring it up because sometimes you don't get the end of the story. And if you notice, there's other patterns that go in the district too. The appeal was filed. Nobody says, hey, we were wrong. Nobody's standing at that podium tonight to say, hey, I'm sorry, we brought this against you. It looks like we were out of bounds. So as these appeals come in, and there's many more, we're going to put them in front of the public, regardless of the decision. If we were wrong, we're going to put it up there and say, we were wrong. We didn't do things correctly. We'll get the ship in order. But if the board is right, meaning we are operating in the law, we're going to put those up too. So that is my comment. Ms. Bello, go ahead.
Just a point of information, the commissioner's decision dismissed the appeal, but it did not analyze the statutory requirement for a designation resolution under education law, which we did not have. It did not apply prior commissioner precedent on retroactive compensation. It did not address the contractual duty limitations that have governed similar cases for decades. And it did not address the governance concerns raised throughout the record. The ruling relied solely on the board's interpretation without examining governing legal standards or the evidentiary record submitted by the petitioners, while accepting the respondents' assertions without supporting documentation. So for clarity, while the Commissioner's Office also does not charge the district for 310 appeals, and if our district did incur additional legal fees, it's because counsel billed extra to defend the appeals.
Thank you. Could I ask you a question? What is the status of this appeal?
The appeal was dismissed.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I've heard what you've said, Ms. Bello. I'd encourage anyone who wants to read the documents and the memoranda of law submitted by the parties that would indicate in a fair sense that the outcome in this appeal was appropriate, supported by high court precedent for decades, and it's a very common practice to pay people for assuming additional duties beyond the scope of what their regular duties are. That was part of the findings of the commissioner. One other thing I'd like to point out, and the president said people came to the podium to speak, and they spoke about a payment over $13,000. The record was clarified that the payment was $7,400, and that was at the rate of $200 a day for the per diems of service during the time of Ms. Peterson's service. So I think you're mischaracterizing the legal aspects of this appeal. It's certainly understandable that challenging it at the time because the resolution approving the monies came a little later in time than the September 3rd end date. However, the wheels had been in motion, the facts had been known well before that. There was no impropriety, and it was legal, and that's where it stands now.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. All right, one other thing before we get to 6.1. As I mentioned earlier, there is a vacancy on the Board of Education that's been created by the voluntary resignation of a trustee. That leaves the board with several options to replace the board member, and I'll go through them. Item 1's the easiest one. We don't have to take any action at all. We could still have 8 members on the board. Number 2 is that we can conduct a special election for 1 member with such a short amount of time left. I don't know if anybody knows that elections are very, very expensive for the taxpayers. Another choice is move down the list the candidate with the next highest number of votes. That's been done before. That's a choice. The board could appoint a replacement, and that has a caveat to it. If 2 or more people volunteer to be replaced, the replacement, the board has to do a couple of things, and that I'll identify that. So that would involve interviews, postings of people that would like to apply. So the proposed process, and I'm going to say this is for the board, this is for everybody here, this is what I'm proposing, but looking for comments, is to seek qualified candidates, preferably with prior board experience, to submit an email expressing their interest in serving. Submission instructions will be posted on the district's website, and emails must be received by the close of business on Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. Public interviews of interested candidates would then be conducted at the board's next regularly scheduled meeting, not a special meeting, the next meeting on the calendar. Under Education Law, Section 2502, Subdivision 6, the board may appoint a qualified candidate to fill the vacancy or may determine not to make the appointment. But before going forward with the proposed process, I invite comments from the board. Mr. Levinstein.
Mr. President, I think what you just laid out, the last suggestion to having basically an open call if people want to volunteer to be on the board, to submit an email, and then we can go from there. And I think that'd be the best way, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would support the proposed process that you just laid out to the audience and to the board members.
Ms. Bello, please.
Yeah, what has been the precedent in the past when someone has resigned?
I think the answer would be it's such a rare occasion that there's no actual precedent. I think different things have been done. It was when 4 members resigned in the, I think it was the spring of 23 or 24. We went down the list and asked the people on the list, would they be interested? When I say the list, that would be the list of next in line in number of votes. However, it's not a precedent because it is rare. Go ahead, Mr. Howard. Mr. Levinstein, I'm looking at you.
Thank you. So I think what's happened the most over all the years that I've been involved with the board is that it's not filled and it's left to the next election. And that's generally what's done. When 4 people, that was a little bit odd and had a thing. And the only other point I'm going to say, just for transparency, is when there was a board member who had passed away, I was asked to fill in for that person till the next election. That's all that it's for. So I don't know of any other times that people were even picked over the last 15 years. So it's, but most of the time, it's just left, people resign towards the end of the school year, and then there's a vote in May. And so I think that's the majority of time. Majority is done that way.
Mr. Howard, go ahead, please.
I know, to my recollection, the items, I believe 1 was used and number 2 was used. Number 2 has not been used in my 15 years. I know one time the person was asked to replace after a conversation with board members. They came up with someone who had experience, and they reached out to the individual and see if they would be interested. There also was a time when they went to the next candidates on the most previous election, and there was a time also where we went with 8. So it's no precedent. It's up to the board members that are present. The majority makes that decision, I believe, because there was 3 different. So there is no precedent in my 15 years.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Okay, so hearing no objection, I'm going to ask that the district clerk proceed with posting the solicitation and receiving emails through the close of business on Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. Candidate interviews will be conducted publicly at the board's next regularly scheduled meeting. The board will then determine whether to appoint a candidate or take no action.
Do they email the board clerk?
I'm sorry?
Did they email the board clerk or
Yes.
you?
Yeah, the directions will be on the website. Go ahead, Mr. Harris.
I'm curious, Mr. President, and David, maybe Mr. Shaw can answer this. So what would a public interview look like? or how would that take place?
I've seen it a couple of times, and usually someone's sitting in a chair over there, and they're asked a number of questions, and all of the candidates are asked the same questions. And then there is an executive session for consideration of who to appoint. And I think it's accurate that there isn't a quote-unquote precedent for this because it is very rare. And in Newburgh, you've run without filling seats, you've used the candidates who were next number vote getters, and occasionally someone who had experience. Those are the choices. Now, in a small city district, there isn't anything in the law that compels filling the seat. In Union-Free and Central districts, you're supposed to fill the seat.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Thanks, Mr. Shaw. Okay. We are moving on to 6.1. It's a resolution to adopt policy on the first reading. Ms. Peterson, please help me with this, what we're just voting on.
So item 6.1 is the policy on non-description and equal opportunity. If there are any questions, this is a first reading. First reading and adopt.
Board members, any questions? Okay, call it.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Bello,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. DeRay,
Yes,
Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you. We're at 6.2, policy 8635, information and data privacy, security, breach of notification. It's action, consent. You could help out. Just give us a background on it, if you could.
I'm sorry. I was like, nope, you have it right. So this policy is just an update to Ed Law 2D. If there's any questions that you guys may have, it's around some of the accessibility as well as the reporting. If you have any questions, Mr. McGrath will answer.
Right. So essentially, the New York State has adopted a new NIST 2.0, which is a more stringent, higher level of security and better cybersecurity. Also holds our vendors more accountable for our students' privacy and holding those sacred.
Okay, thank you. No further discussion, call it.
6.2. Motion and a second.
Oh, okay, good. Motion and a second on 6.2.
So, second.
Any,
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Bello,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. DeRay,
yes,
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you. 6.3 is a resolution to adopt policy on first reading, 2360 minutes. Get a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
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 Thank you. Discussion on 2360. Ms. Bello, please.
Yes. The policy 2360 relies on definitions and requirements that appear in the subsequent policies that are on this agenda tonight for discussion. And because those two policies have not been finalized, I believe it's premature to vote on 2360 because you cannot record compliance with rules that don't exist yet. So, I mean, shouldn't we finalize the other two? I mean, they're only on for a first read, the two that I'm talking about, but 2340 and 2325. But this one includes things that haven't been determined yet.
Could you, go ahead.
So this policy 2360, the one change is to take out a reference to meetings which are conducted under a section of the law 103-A, which is an optional way of conducting public meetings. So striking the sentence here would mean that the board is staying with the status quo, the traditional way of conducting meetings, and there is the possibility for video conferencing, but that's where the location of the remote board member is advertised in the posting, and we've done that a number of times. So that's the implication here is that the board is not going to adopt how to conduct meetings for video conferencing under 103-A of the Public Officers Law. And the hurdles to go through to implement that kind of meeting protocol is very burdensome. And very few, to my knowledge right now, none of the districts we've represented since 103-A has been in place, and that's between 40 and 50 districts, have adopted it. During the time of COVID, there was a necessity to follow certain rules regarding video conferencing. And after COVID, this became an optional way to proceed, but it has many burdens. And if the burdens aren't met, the outcome can be that the meeting will be set aside, and that can have devastating consequences.
So then we're determining that we are going to accept what is up for a first read tonight. We're determining that there's not going to be any change in that. It's like we're clairvoyant. We know that's not going to happen.
No, all you know is that you're not going to implement this alternative means of noticing and conducting video conference meetings. You're going to use the traditional model as you have in the past.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion on 6.3?
Okay. Ms. Bello?
No.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Could a motion and a second on item 6.4, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on 6.4? This is a required policy by the state of New York.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're at item 6.5, first reading of policy 2340, notice of meetings. Any discussion on this item? Ms. Bello, please.
This is just discussion, right? This is not going to be up for a vote.
Right, this is for discussion.
Okay. So I just wanted to know, why does a policy require majority approval for a trustee's verbatim statement when all trustees hold equal authority? And accuracy should not depend on whether the majority agrees with the content, in my opinion.
My answer would be, if that's a concern, because I did not write it down, send an email, because it is in the discussion section, and it'll be reviewed by the policy committee to see if it stays or it goes.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else? Okay. Anyone else on 2340? All right, let's move to first reading of policy 2325, video conferencing of board meetings. Discussion on this item. Ms. Bello, go ahead, please.
Yeah, we just affirmed postpartum accommodations for employees, yet 2325 doesn't reflect similar consideration for trustees recovering from childbirth, which I find to be a little ironic. But at any rate, with 2325, what the board is proposing tonight isn't transparency, it's obstruction. This policy takes the most extreme, the most burdensome interpretation of video conferencing available under New York laws and uses it to make participation harder, not easier. The draft explicitly states that trustees may only participate from a location open and meaningfully accessible to the public, and that participation from a private or undisclosed location is prohibited. In plain language, this board is telling trustees to open their homes to strangers, publish their addresses, and comply with public access requirements that no other governing body in Newburgh imposes. The policy goes even further. It authorized the district to conduct advanced site inspections, contact landlords, building management, HOAs, and security personnel, and verify that no rule imposed by an owner or building manager would prevent public entry. That is an unprecedented intrusion into trustees' private residences. The Newburgh City Council doesn't do this. The Orange County Legislature does not do this. And many school boards in New York do not do this.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Shaw, but I believe you're incorrect. It's not the board imposing the
Well, you're
location of
proposing the policy.
No, it's not the board proposing that the address of the trustee gets listed. I believe that's covered under 103.
There are a couple of different features that are being discussed through Ms. Bello's comments, and I think an important issue is whether or not there is going to be access into the private apartment, the private residence, or would there be a restriction on having the remote participating trustee being within their home versus being in a more public place? This is a first reading. I think it needs a little more study before it's finalized.
I don't hear you, I'm sorry.
I'm not finished with my statement.
Okay.
Okay. So I just want to point out that if this were to pass, this is the harshest possible option, and it's impossible to ignore the timing. A trustee on this board just gave birth last week. Under this policy, she would be required to open her home to the public, publish her address, admit strangers, all while caring for a newborn. That's an immediate, predictable impact of this proposal. And when a policy's impact is this obvious, its intent becomes equally obvious. Unfortunately, unless we change this policy and do this, she will not be able to have a voice on this board or vote on this board for 8 weeks. And I just don't see why we are doing this. Under this draft, any trustee with legitimate constraints, whether it's a health issue, caregiving, work schedules, or housing restrictions, can be denied participation, denied a vote, denied the ability to be counted present, and ultimately removed for non-attendance. Policies should expand access. This one weaponizes it. It creates a chilling effect, it disproportionately harms minority trustees, and it exposes trustees to safety risks, privacy violations, and even personal liability if someone were to become injured in their residence. Nothing in state law requires this. Nothing in open meetings law demands this. This is not a compliance measure, it's a choice. And I think that our choices should encourage more conversation, more debate, and more access than less.
Thank you. Before I get to you, Mr. Levenstein, it looks like you're reading from something prepared. The reason we have discussion is so we can hear your voice. But obviously, I did not write down everything you said. So again, forward it. That's your comments. Mr. Shaw already said we're going to go back and look at it. So let's do it the right way. Send your comments. We'll bring it up in policy. You're allowed to attend the policy meeting and make comments, and we'll develop, we'll develop it as a team. Okay? Mr. Levinstein, go ahead, please.
So, Ms. Bello, there's some kernels of truth to what you said, but I think it's a little twisted. So I had written this when there were ex-board members saying the illegal actions that this board was doing on social media. So these are just facts, okay? I got 9 facts here. Regarding the Board of Education meetings, the NECSD follows the rules of the state's open meeting laws, New York State laws, and New York State Department of Education rules and regulations. If there is a request from a board member for a remote video conference, the district is required by law to publish the address of the remote location and invite the public to attend and participate. If the public does not have access to the remote location, the law states that the remote part of the meeting is shut down. This is the law as it is today, as we follow. There is no discrimination. Rules apply to males and females, parents new and old, healthy and frail. There's no discrimination in that. Now, in 2022, I just want to kind of make it simple, not in legalese. In 2022, there was an amendment to the open meeting laws, Section 103-A, dealing with exceptional circumstances. This amendment allows boards of education to create a policy of allowing remote video conferencing locations without public access. To create this exceptional circumstances exemption, Section 103-A, there would need to be a public hearing, then details of the exact reasons that are acceptable for the exception, and then a policy review, and then a board resolution adopted. Section 103-A was never brought forward by the Stridiron Boulay leadership. Section 103A was never brought forward by the Bello Boucher leadership. Against most people's better wishes, at the present time, all remote video conferencing meetings by law must be open to the public, which no one thinks is a safe situation. So, yes, this is the way it has to be done now, unless the district adopts 103A, which is a process, and then we could do that. But it's not illegal. We're not doing anything we're not supposed to now. So, I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Levinstein.
So some of the language of this policy for physical restraint, and it may be something that we need to relook at, is some of the verbiage, because in certain situations, in certain settings, in certain classrooms, physical restraint may be necessary to maintain safety. So I know that it can be confusing because it goes in and out within the policy, because different groups of students, there's different rules that apply to general education versus special education. So we can look at it again and bring it back to the board just to make sure that it's clear, it has clarity. I don't know if there's any other questions from the board as well.
I think that there is an issue regarding physical restraint that can be confusing, and maybe the way to unravel it is to think about the fact that, and this derives from a Regents Rule, 19.5, and under that rule, physical restraint as a punishment is unlawful, but physical restraint to restrain for safety a student by someone who's trained properly in physical restraint is lawful. And then there are rules regarding recording the lawful physical restraint. And there is also training that goes on in terms of de-escalation management of student behaviors, which is part and parcel of this continuum of how to try to effectively keep students safe, but understanding that restraint to punish is forbidden. So maybe if you go back and read 19.5, it'll be clearer what's intended.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. We are at 6.8, first reading, 9620, child abuse in an educational setting. Ms. Peterson, some background if you could.
This is just an update to some of the child abuse in an educational setting, which is different than child abuse in a domestic setting. So this is just an update to that policy.
Okay. Any questions, 9620 for discussion? No. Okay, let's move to 6.9. 5460, maltreatment or neglect in a domestic setting regulation with child abuse.
So,
Go ahead.
so 5460, this is the regulation, and we will be also bringing back to the board the policy, but we wanted to make sure the regulation clearly identified mandated reporters, which are, the law has just changed to include coaches and social workers. And we wanted to make sure that that was in the policy of our regulations. They know that they are mandated reporters, but it has to be clearly identified within our regulation and our practice.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. On 6.9, any further discussion, questions? All right. We're going to move to item 7, Clerk of the Board, the minutes.
A request for approval of the minutes of the August 4th, 2026 regular meeting.
Thank you. Get a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
Second.
Thank you. Call it.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're at item 8, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources. I'm guessing Ms. Peterson.
Yes, Ms. Peterson. Oh, something with this title over here. Okay, so the Human Resources has items 8.1 through 8.19 on consent for your consideration.
Thank you. Would anybody like to separate out any items? No. Get a motion and a second then on 8.1 to 8.19.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on these items? Mr. Levinstein, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, Ms. Peterson, is the following an accurate description of the Human Resources agenda being presented tonight? HR items A through K, including appointments, appointment rescissions, change of statuses, resignations, leave of absences, and the appointments include 11 teachers, 10 teaching assistants, and 7 school monitors. Creating the following: an additional homeless liaison position supported by federal funds, a health teacher position, an E&L teacher position, amend a salary for an assistant principal, approve an elementary school principal, fill a health service advisor's stipend position, abolish a bilingual social studies teacher, and create a social studies teacher position. And approve the following: home teacher appointments, substitute administrator appointments, 5th and 6th grade orientation program appointments, 9th grade transition orientation program appointments, Summer Institute curriculum writing appointments, CTE curriculum writing appointments, a contract in lieu of probation for a carpentry teacher, Jumpstart Jamboree appointments supported by MBK Challenge funds, a Director of 21st Century Learning appointment supported by 21st Century Learning Grant, an assistant principal appointment, a supervisor of exceptional learners, and fall athletic coaches. Is that correct, Ms. Peters?
Yes. I have to give Mr. Bergarelli a note, though. Hold on one second. Where is it?
Any further discussion on 8.1 to 8.19? Thank you. Call it, please.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. DeRay? There's a couple of members in our audience that are welcoming. We would like to welcome. So if you can please stand. I know I met some of you, Dr. Manning and I, during your final interviews. So we welcome you. If you guys can just say hey and introduce yourself, that would be wonderful.
Very nice. Congratulations. Good.
We were clapping and welcoming you so loudly. If you could just say your name and what position you'll be in within the district.
And if they were grad.
And if they're a grad, if you're a grad, if you're a go back. Returning go back.
Flying home.
Flying back home.
Hello all, I'm Christopher Hallman, new Spanish teacher, and I was not a Goldback, but I'm a Goldback now.
We accept you.
Welcome.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Marissa Gunderson. I'm the new kindergarten teacher at Gardner Town. Glad we worked for Newburgh before. Did not graduate as a Goldback, but of course now I am pleased to be a Goldback.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Takesha Reed, Assistant Principal at Forest South Middle School. Yay!
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Fox. I am a Goldback, and I will be the supervisor of exceptional learners.
Thank you.
Good evening, Jerry Ortiz, current supervisor of exceptional learners and now director of 20th Century Learning. That's right.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. We're at item 9, Assistant Superintendent of Finance. Ms. Roaring, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. The Finance Division presents items 9.1 to 9.15 for your consideration on consent this evening.
Thank you. Would anybody like to separate out any items? Can we get a motion and a second on 9.1 to 9.15?
So moved.
Yep, second. Any discussion on 9.1 to 9.15? Go ahead.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes. Okay, we're at item
Motion
10.
carries.
Thank you. 10, Assistant Superintendent, CIO, DPO. Mr. McGrath, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President. The Department of Technology and Data presents for the board's consideration on consent items 10.1 and 10.2.
Thank you. Would anybody like to separate out either of these items? Okay. Get a motion and a second on 10.1, 10.2.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Thank you. This concludes my items.
Carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McGrath. Okay, we're at 11, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum Instruction. Tonight is Dr. O'Grady.
Yes, my colleague said you did enough talking tonight.
So we, at the Division of CNI, Curriculum and Instruction, present items 11.1 to 11.6 for your consideration on consent.
Thank you. Would anybody like to separate out anything 11.1 to 11.6?
Wait a minute, that's 11.1 to 11.7. See, you should have had her do it.
Okay. All right. Would anybody like to separate out any items 11.1 to 11.7? Nope. Can we get a motion and a second on 11.1 to 11.7?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on any of these items?
Okay, Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks? Did she leave? No, okay. Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We are at item 12, Assistant Superintendent, Exceptional Learners, Ms. McKitty-Bromley.
Good evening, Mr. President. A Division of Exceptional Learners has items 12.1 to 12.3 for your consideration and consent.
Thank you. Would anybody like to separate out anything 12.1 to 12.3? Get a motion and a second on 12.1 to 12.3.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on any of these items? Good.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks? Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. The board is going to go into executive session with no action anticipated following executive session. So for those who have attended, thank you so much tonight. Thank you for your comments, and welcome to our new staff.
We need a motion. For session.
Okay, I'm going to read it. Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose: matters made confidential under FERPA, matters leading to the employment of particular employees or corporations, employment history of employees or corporations, collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, and to obtain advice from legal counsel. We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks? She's still out. Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein? Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Bello?
Yes.
Motion carries.